Now, the Environmental Rights Action Era, Friends of the Earth Nigeria, and other civil society organizations have disagreed with the ongoing divestments by international oil companies, IOCs, in the Niger Delta. The groups who expressed their displeasure at an interactive session with the media on the motives behind the IOC's divestments in the region, organized by ARA in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, lamented the health impacts of activities of the IOCs on people of the region. The report.
Stakeholders in the Niger Delta region said the divestment move by all multinationals is contrary to the Energy Transition Advocacy Plan to renewable energy sources. They described it as a ploy to reject their developmental obligations and responsible for polluting the air. The groups expressed worries that about 70 years after oil extraction in the region and its adverse effects, there are emerging indications of more problems in the Niger Delta. In his address, the executive director of ERA, Chima Williams, said the level of environmental pollution suffered by the people of the Niger Delta region in the hands of multinational oil companies is incomparable globally.
What is needed is just for governments to set the guidelines, set the regulatory mechanisms, set the standards, okay? And we have been asking for, if you are divesting, one thing that you should do, put back the environment and the people in the position they were before you started operation. If you are not going to do that, you want to divest, put a divestment bond. Nigerian government should set amount that will be enough to do legacy cleanup.
Also speaking at Donna at the University of Port Harcourt, Professor Sophie Peterside explained the major reasons behind the divestment by the IOCs. He said that there is a need for a better understanding and community engagement on the global environmental justice.
This trend will have negative impact on investment and production in the oil and gas sector, and by extension, revenue accruable to the Nigerian state and spending in the oil-bearing communities.
We owe ourselves the responsibility of ensuring that we target programming and interventions to address exclusion, even when the system or the processes exclude us from participating. If you work in the communities, you will agree with me that when you go to communities for intervention, they begin to look at you suspiciously. So we need to build trust by opening up the space for participation.
It's a question of responsibility. How do we start to take responsibility, to be proactive, to do what we must do in order to cause a change? 80% of ministers of petroleum are from the Niger Delta. They will not even acknowledge the petition from their own community because they are in cahoots, because they are more focused on transactions.
The stakeholders opine that there is the need for the IOCs to decommission their toxic assets and carry out remedial actions to be monitored by independent bodies and civil society organizations in the communities.
Gunmen have killed 2 locals and a soldier at Rukwe Chongo village of Kwao.